Welcome to Come Get Woo Woo. We're your hosts, Becky and Roe, here to hold space for the unseen, the unspoken, and the deeply felt. This is a place for seekers, for those who sense that there's more, for those who hear between the words, feel beyond the room, and know without knowing why.
Together, we'll explore the language of spirit, the clarity of your clairs, and the signs that rise up when you're ready to notice. You're not imagining it, you're remembering it. This is Come Get Woo Woo.
Have you ever noticed an animal appearing again and again in your life? In a dream, on a walk, in a moment that you needed comfort or clarity, and wondered if it meant something more? Do certain animals stir deep emotional responses in you, even if you can't explain why? A sense of calm, curiosity, recognition, or even discomfort. You're not imagining it. Animals have been messengers, teachers, and symbols of wisdom across cultures throughout history. For many of us, they show up exactly when we need their medicine most. Hey, woo-woo seekers, welcome back to Come Get Woo-Woo with Becky and Roe. I'm Becky.
And I'm Roe. Today we're diving into a 3-part series that we're calling Guided Support, revolving around the helpers who are working with us daily. And today we're stepping into the world of spirit animals, what they are, how they show up, and how to understand the messages they bring. We'll explore the difference between power animals, totem animals, and animal messengers, and why each one plays a unique role in your intuitive and spiritual journey. We'll talk about how animals communicate through dreams, meditation, repetition, and emotional resonance, and how your intuition helps you recognize when an animal is more than just a coincidence. We'll also clear up some common misconceptions, share examples of what these animal encounters can symbolize, and offer gentle guidance on how to work with these signs in a grounded, meaningful way without overthinking or forcing interpretations. And before we dive in, remember, spirit animals aren't just about labels or predictions. They're about connection, awareness, and remembering parts of yourself that are ready to be seen. So, Becky, what is an animal spirit guide?
Well, the broad, often overused term is any animal showing up energetically. It's the entry-level label, if you will. It means an animal has importance, but hasn't been assigned a specific job yet. Before we separate animals into names like power, totem, or guide, it helps to understand one thing. Animal energy meets us where we are. Sometimes it walks beside us for a lifetime. Sometimes it shows up only when we need it most. The meaning isn't in the label. It's how the animal interacts with you, what it awakens, and when it appears. So let's start off with guide animals. These are more transitionary. The guide might appear in your life or in your dreams for a specific period to help you navigate a particular challenge or transition. So then we have power animals, often associated with shamanic traditions. These are seen as spiritual protectors or alter egos that lend a person a specific trait, like the courage of a lion or the perspective of a hawk. This reminds me of your eagle that you've seen in the meditations. I believe it was for clarity, correct?
Yes, I was soaring through the sky, just looking at things from a different angle.
Yeah. So that would be considered a power animal. So then we next have a totem animal. These usually represent groups. So a family, a clan, a tribe. They symbolize shared lineage and a collective mythical history of that group. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down each of these categories to give you an idea of a broader perspective of what they all mean. So, Ro, do you want to start us off with the animal guides?
Sure. Many people believe that the animal guide is the mentor. They show up for specific chapters or challenges. They teach, protect, or redirect your path, then move on once the lesson is integrated. Their energy is, I'm here to help you through this part. We put together a few ways to help you bring in your animal guides and notice when they're showing up. So the first one I have is the open invitation or the help desk. You don't pick an animal guide. They apply for the job based on your current crisis. How you do this is before you go to sleep or while you're doing something mindless like the dishes, just put the thought out there. I'm stuck on a specific problem. Whoever is the expert on this, show your face. And then the fun part is you play the observation game. Look for that animal in the wild, commercials, billboards, or random sock patterns, or a literal encounter. The first one that makes you go, wait, why do I keep seeing penguins? He's your consultant.
That's really cool.
Yeah. The next one I have is what would they do filter. So once the guy has made itself known, you use it as a perspective shift. So when you're faced with a choice, you stop and think, how would a crow handle this? If it is a crow, they'd probably find a clever, slightly mischievous workaround rather than a direct confrontation. If it's a goat, they would keep climbing and ignore the noise. So you aren't praying to the animal, you're using their natural intelligence by bypassing your stuck human brain. So this is where it's good to really know the animals that are around you.
No, I agree. I was just watching the meme, and I think they were blackbirds, and they had noticed a certain human that took in an injured bird, and they mimicked being injured so they could be fed. It was really quite funny, actually. It was very mischievous.
Wow.
So, they mimic what they see to help get what they want. When I saw that, I'm like, oh gosh, that reminded me of that story.
Wow, that's cool. They're smart birds, I think.
They actually talk about the crow as actually being one of the smartest birds that is out there, I believe, and compassionate. But they also know if you've done them wrong. They're very mischievous in that way. They talk about how crows, they'll start bringing you gifts if you feed them and stuff like that. So, yeah. I think animals are just fascinating. My favorite deck is an animal spirit deck for tarot.
So the next I have is the dream state meeting. Since guides work best when logic isn't interfering, you can set a meeting for when you're asleep. So as you're falling asleep, visualize a neutral space, a forest, a beach, a coffee shop, keep it light. Invite the guide to meet you there. Don't look for words, look for behavior. If the guide just sits there and breathes, maybe your lesson is to be still. If the guide is frantically digging, maybe you need to look deeper into your situation.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that before, but that's definitely great advice.
So the next one I have is follow the breadcrumbs. So guide communicates through repetition. If the animal guide is trying to redirect you, they will create glitches in your day. You miss your turn and there's a hawk on the sign. You go to a different coffee shop and the barista has a hawk tattoo. So at this point, you should probably stop and ask, okay, hawk, what are you really trying to get me to look at? I hate to say this, but you're going to love that I say this.
I know what you're going to say. Pay attention, please.
Yes, pay attention. And the last one I have is the contract termination. So one of the important things to do with a guide is to let them go. These aren't totems. They're not lifelong. They are temporary staff. Once you move through the challenge or learn the lesson, say thanks for the help and stop looking for them. Don't be the person still trying to talk to the relationship guide when you've been single and happy for 3 years. Let them move on to the next person who's struggling.
That's great advice, actually. That
Mhm.
is, yeah, I think that's a important thing.
So do you want to go over messenger animals?
Yeah. So messenger animals are technically guides, but they show up fast, deliver the message, and move on. They often appear in weird ways and impossible timing to deliver a specific heads up. Once you get the message, they vanish. So, the the energy, this is perfect for me. The energy is pay attention. This is important. Um, we talked about it just now. Paying attention is very important. So oftentimes you hear an animal mentioned 3 times in one day by unrelated people who don't know each other and are not talking about the same thing. So that's number 1. Number 2 is going to be you open a book or a playlist, a podcast, or a random social feed, and the animal is suddenly the title, the image, or the example being used, which I know I've experienced. Have you ever experienced this?
Yeah. But, I'm wondering how many people are going to pass through Fire Horse.
Yes, very true. Right? Yeah. Number 3 is going to be you're thinking about a decision, maybe a car, or a truck, a sign with an animal's name. Like a bronco. You just keep on you seeing a bronco over and over again. Well, bronco is another name for horse, like we were just talking about. So, that's one. Um, the image cuts directly across the lines of sight to the exact moment. Then you have a dream, and that dream is short, vivid, and oddly practical. No symbolism. This isn't like a hodgepodge. This is an animal doesn't do one thing. Then the dream ends. So basically what it means is if you're dreaming about an animal and say you've got birds, you've got all of a sudden you see a cardinal and then you see a blue jay and then you see a crow. So then you have to look at the different, because it's all the same theme. So it's more about the birds. So birds a lot of times have a lot of them, maybe they're all singing birds or they talk. So maybe it's a communication thing.
Oh, so you look for what's the same within the bird.
The common denominator, if you will.
I like that.
Yeah. Lastly, we have the child or stranger mentions an animal to you without context and you walks away, like they deliver the line as exit stage left. There's certain people in my life that they always have to get in the last word. So it's almost like that type of energy where you've like, okay, here it is, mic drop moment, and then walk away. So you'll notice the animal in a place it absolutely does not belong. It's a classic messenger move. When your brain goes, that's not right. Pay attention. Those are the types of things that you want to pay attention to because the guides are feeling steady. You warm up to them. Messengers feel sharp, clear, sometimes slightly annoying because the timing is 9 times out of 10 inconvenient. I saw random turkeys in the middle of the cities, and apparently it's a thing there, but I was like, what?
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Anyway. So the next category that we're going to do, and this is going to be the power animal. So think of this as like the battery. They provide the immediate infusion of strength, courage, and boundaries. You call on them or they show up when you need to reclaim yourself. So the energy that goes with this is borrow my backbone. So kind of the identity for power animals, you don't call an animal, you call in the trait that you're missing. So look at the situation and you ask, what is the one thing that I don't have right now? And it could be, are you being a doormat? So then you might need teeth. Am I overthinking? Maybe you need instinct. If I'm exhausted, do you need hibernation? The call, you don't need the name. You say internally or out loud, I need an animal that knows how to handle whatever the situation, and then wait for the first image that pops up or clicks in your brain.
I love that.
I have never used that before, and I certainly will be trying. This goes back to my pay attention. Dang it. Once
I have
again,
a feeling we're going to be going through this again for the next couple of episodes.
Yep, I agree with you. So the next portion of the power animal is going to be the body swap. This is the fastest and the funnest way to do it. You literally change your posture to match the energy of the animal you need. So if you need to be unbothered, drop your shoulders, breathe slow, and wear the heavy, slow energy of like a great whale or a bear. But if you need to be sharp and alert, I want you to sit up, narrow your eyes, and wear it with intention like a hunting cat. So here's the big secret. Your brain follows your body. If you act like a predator, you stop feeling like prey. I know. I think there's a lot of people that would use this one a lot.
Yeah. I think I would be the lion or something.
Sometimes sometimes you need to be that lion to have the courage. Yeah. You know, it goes back to the Wizard of Oz years. You know, lion needed courage. Scarecrow needed a heart. I'm trying to think what's the other one.
I wasn't thinking it. See, now you think of lion as a courage.
Yeah, I think lion is courage, but you're talking like for voice.
No, for being a predator, like you know, like.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay,
just the
like
way
that hunting cat.
That hunting, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
but I still think of lion as courage, but I was more on the lines of thinking of them as a predator.
Yeah, which they are. Even regular domesticated cats are predators if you let them out. Yes. So then another one that you could do is the vibe check. So think of it like a mental bat signal, if you will. Not to mention your bat, but imagine the energy you need. So think of it like you need to be unstoppable. You need that unstoppable momentum, right? Broadcast that need in your mind and see what shows up or see who shows up to claim the job. If a sloth shows up when you ask for momentum, don't argue. Maybe the power you actually need is to stop moving so fast before you crash. Trust the drop-in, whatever it is. I think that's one of those things that we don't do well enough. We keep on saying, pay attention to what you're actually given and to actually follow through. Because, it's not only just paying attention, but it's following through with what you're getting.
Right. And what that animal means to you.
Right. Because just like we were talking about the lion, you saw it as a predator, where I saw it as courage. So whatever it means to you. And we've talked about that, where even like words like bear, I mean, you see it as hibernation sometimes. And I saw it as protectiveness. I think that was what it was. Maybe it was the other way around. I don't remember.
I think it was the other way around.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, even with sloth, they see upside down.
Oh, I
So
never thought of that.
so I would see it as look at it from a different angle. Like the sloth is one of my favorite animals.
I
It's like I want to hug one.
I know you want to go the petting zoo that has sloths at it in Texas. We need to go visit Chris. That's what it
Yes.
is. So now the next one we have is this is a visualization trick. So you imagine the animal stepping into you or you stepping into it. So say that you're about to walk into a tough meeting, right? And imagine you're wearing a wolf like a coat. This isn't like fake it till you make it. You're wearing it till you win it. Yeah, it's a psychological cloak, if you will, that changes how you project yourself to others.
What coat would you wear?
Ooh. You know, the first thing that popped into my head, and you just got to go with that, is actually a tiger.
Okay.
How about yourself?
I think I'd put on a polar bear coat.
First of all, it's really cold there. That's why.
That's one of the reasons. And they don't take anything. You know, like I would not want to be in distance at all next to a polar bear. So,
Yeah. So another thing that you can do, use your surroundings to anchor the power. So imagine yourself as the animal. Put the picture of the animal on your phone, like as your lock screen, or wear a piece of jewelry that represents that animal. Whatever animal triggers, and this perfect one for me because I need to physically see or touch or feel. That is one of my things. I just visualize it so much better if I just have a slight reminder. And we've talked about that before. So the logic behind this is every time you see it, it's a ping in your subconscious to reactivate that specific power. It keeps the loaded energy active throughout the day. These are great activities to kind of immolate that energy of that animal. But obviously, common sense warning, if you call a honey badger energy to talk to your boss, remember the honey badders don't have a polite setting. Don't be surprised if you end up saying what you actually think and you've called in your backbone. Don't be mad if it shows up. I think that's a great warning to everybody. So just be mindful of what you're calling in and the results that you'll get from it.
Absolutely.
So, Ro, do you want to go over some of the other ones? We've got totem.
Sure. So the totem animal is the blueprint. This is the lifelong connection tied to your soul, ancestry, or your core personality. It represents traits you either naturally possess or are destined to master. So their energy this is part of who you are. How to find your totem animal, okay? So you have the childhood echo. Look back at your earliest years. Which animals were you obsessed with? What did you draw on every notebook? Your soul usually picks its totem before your ego gets a vote.
Oh my gosh. So growing up, and my family can tell you, horses, actually carousel horses. I used to collect them in unicorns. So everything horse related. I'm going to have to dive into that one.
Yeah. I draw this little dog face all the time.
That makes sense. You're such a good dog person.
Oh, thank you. The next I have is the repeated encounter. So this animal shows up in your physical life in impossible ways. A hawk that follows your car, a specific insect that always lands on you, or seeing the same animal in logos, books, and art 3 times in 1 week. And the last one I have here for the totem animal is ask yourself, if my personality was movement, how would it move? Is it the prowl of a cat, the stillness of an owl or the busyness of a bee.
When we were doing all the research, I never once thought about bugs or insects. I never once thought about them being part of the totem.
Oh, a totem. Oh, yeah. I can see butterflies and stuff like that.
It never registered to me, though, that they are part of the ecosystem. It's talking about bees. Bees are amazing.
I wouldn't have thought of bees either, but yeah. Okay, so for the ancestors, they're the bloodline tied to your lineage or culture or memory. They carry survival instincts and wisdom of your predecessors. The energy is we've walked together before. So here's some fun ways to find them. You have the geographic connection, forests, mountains, coasts, plains. Certain animals belong to landscapes, and bloodlines tend to carry those relationships forward. So the Celtic roots might carry wolf or stag energy. Coastal families often feel a pull toward whales or seabirds. And then the family crest or story, many families have an unspoken mascot. So a story about an animal that appeared at a birth, a death, or a turning point, a symbol that keeps showing up in the family, jewelry, names, or decorations. Even a half-remembered tale about an animal that watched over someone. These are often bloodline guardians quietly keeping the gate. Oh, that's very interesting.
Very interesting. It gives me the picture of a really close friend of my ex-husband. He was like a second dad to my daughter, and he always was feeding the birds. And she actually swears that he comes back a cardinal. And so she actually even put a tattoo on her arm for him. That's a cardinal.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like people that have names like Robin.
Oh, yeah.
That name going from generation to generation. Wondering if that would have.
That would definitely be one of those, especially if it's like carried on many different generations.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then you have deja vu feelings. So when you see a certain animal, do you feel an emotion that doesn't quite belong to the moment? A sudden pride, a tenderness, a grief that feels inherited rather than personal? That's not imagination, that's recognition. So if you don't feel a connection to your biological lineage, look at the ancestry of place. The animals that inhabited the land where you were born or where you live now are also your ancestors' proximity. They are the land guardians who agreed to walk with you.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to dig a little deeper. I know some of my family members, the areas that we've come from, like my great grandfather and stuff like that. And they're all kind of in like ravines. So it's amazing that I live by a lake, but always had water. Like even growing up, there was a creek next to our house. My old house, I had a creek. So there's a definitely tie to some water for me.
Oh, so maybe you have some fishes as.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Or birds.
Yep. Well, we always had eagle out in the country. And if you're next to water, then generally there's an eagle that is fairly close by or like within the territory. So
very cool.
Yeah. I don't know. That would be cool if it was an eagle. I like eagles.
I like eagles too. I love eagles.
Yeah.
They're so majestic.
Yes. Yes. In most modern shamanic, intuitive development, and shadow work teachings, the terms shadow animal or mirror animal are often used in terms that are interchangeable. but technically they can be explained as slightly different perspectives of the same phenomenon. So, to give you a little background, shadow animals reflect the parts of yourself you've suppressed or labeled as bad. So, fear, rage, greed, they aren't evil. They are invitations to heal and integrate. So, that energy that they're sitting in is stop pretending you don't feel this at all. I just found this very interesting. So some of the ways that you can find your shadow animal. So irrational fear. What animal makes you recoil with a reaction that is way too big for the situation? If you are terrified of spiders or snakes beyond the basic safety, there is likely a shadow gift hidden in there. Think of something that I'm deathly afraid of for no reason. And I can't think of anything right now. I know that there's something out there, but anyway, so
Oh,
I
you
think,
mean for no reason?
yeah, like there's, and it's bigger. Like my brother is absolutely terrified of spiders. My sisters and I get a kind of a chuckle sometimes, and we'll text him a picture of a spider. And it pisses him off so bad because it does. It freaks him out. Even seeing them, he hates them so bad.
Yeah. See, I don't like bees or wasps or anything like that because I've been stung.
Right. So you have irrational fear because
Mhm.
you've been stung. Yeah. So then you have another aspect of it. It's the repulsive trait. What animal do you find ugly or mean? Maybe you hate the scavenger nature of the vulture. Maybe you can't stand cockroaches. Your shadow animal often shows up in places you resist. It's pointing to the parts of yourself that you haven't fully owned. How you deal with endings, leftovers, and discomfort in your life. I found that really interesting.
That is, but I mean, who really likes cockroaches? So
Okay. Not that we don't have them in Minnesota. I don't like them. I never had to encounter them because where we are, it's too damn cold and they don't like it. See, that's what the cold temperatures, it's helping you with that.
there you go. No cockroaches in Minnesota.
We'll get the nice side of it being cold. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So then we have the dream adversary. So pay attention to the animals in your dream that chase, block, intimidate you. These are not villains, they are messengers. Stop running and ask, what am I refusing to see? That's really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
So then you have the mirror. Now, the mirror is a latent self. This reflects the strengths, beauties, and powers you possess, but haven't truly turned into or you haven't really owned yet. Basically, what it is you are more powerful than you realize. So you have fascinated enemy. What animal makes you sigh with a reaction of, I wish that was me? If you were obsessed with an effort grace of a cat or the freedom of the wild horse, there is likely a mere gift waiting for you to claim.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So maybe that's my horses. I don't know. We'll have to see. Then you have the flashy trait. So this is what animal do you find too much or too showy? Maybe you judge the loud, colorful nature of a peacock. Maybe you can't stand the arrogance of a lion. Your mirror animal often shows up in the traits that you admire, but feel guilty for wanting. It's pointing to the parts of yourself you haven't truly owned. Your right to be seen, your right to lead, and your right to take up space without apology. Interesting. Very interesting, don't you think?
I do. I was just thinking, oh, what animal do I think is too much or showy? I would say the hyena.
Oh, they are a little bit of a scavenger too.
They are. Yes, yeah. And they travel in groups as well. So I don't
Very
know.
true. I can't think of one right now.
Okay.
So then you have the dream navigator. So pay attention to the animals in your dreams that lead you, protect you, and show you a new path. They are not just background characters. They are your own untapped potential in motion. And stop watching and ask, what power am I finally ready to step into? So all of you that have been listening, you all know about Roe's bat. So we went into a little bit of a deep dive, and we're going to tell you a little bit about this bat. A bat, as a shadow animal, symbolizes navigating darkness, transformation, intuition, and the subconscious, representing a call to explore hidden truths, inner self, spiritual realms, and often appearing during life changes or initiations to guide one through the unknown, bridging the physical and spiritual world with its nocturnal nature. It can signify powerful inner journeys, psychic development, embracing liminal spaces, moving beyond Western fears of evil to a more profound shamanic understanding of rebirth and mystery. Remember, you have the shadow animals, and they represent suppressed traits, fears, wounds, and instincts. This appears when something in the unconscious wants healing or integration, often shows up through fear, discomfort, dreams, or strong reactions. And your mirror animal is going to reflect something about you that you are not consciously recognizing. Maybe show up either in a shadow trait, what you resist, or a hidden strength, what you don't want to claim yet. It functions more like a psychological or an energetic reflection. Finding your animal isn't a research project, it's a memory. Your totem has been with you since the crib. Your ancestral animal is in your DNA. And the shadow animal is usually the one you've been running away from. The moment you stop and look, the knowing begins.
Wow. Now, didn't you do, I know you were talking about it, a meditation for the shadow animals?
I did. It'll be in the companion meditations that actually takes you on a journey with your animal guide, and it will actually encounter your shadow animal. If you go on the web, you can get a direct link to it if you want. In the podcast extras, it'll be there, and it'll also be in the podcast companions. You can find it on YouTube. We have if you go into playlist, you can find it there too.
Oh, we'll try to link it in the description too of this episode.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
We have the familiar, the coworker. So traditionally tied to magic, this is a high-level energetic partnership, often, but not always, with a physical pet. It's a relationship of mutual works and intuition. So the energy is we work together. So how to find your familiar, the intentional bond. Okay, so unlike a totem that you're born with, the familiar is a partnership. If you have a physical pet, notice if they behave differently when you're doing spiritual work, journaling, or meditating. Do they sit by your feet? Do they stare at a specific corner of the room? That's not clinginess. That's participation.
Ooh, cool.
Yes.
I don't have animals, so would you say your girls help you out or participate?
Well, Annie always has to sit next to me. She always has to be by my side, no matter what. You know, even when Anastasia's home, she has to sit in between us.
Oh, okay.
So, so
You're doing double duty then.
Yeah. And she does stare at the corner sometimes. Now, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's during spiritual work or not.
Something that you can pay attention to.
Yes. But I've seen her stare at the wall when we're just watching TV. So I don't know. So then we have the double take. In a garden, a familiar is an animal that doesn't just sit there, they help. They might lead you to a specific plant, nudge you toward the reflection pool, or guard the door while you work. They nudge you toward something that you weren't planning to notice. If the animal feels helpful rather than symbolic, you're not imagining it. And then we have the shared intuition. This is the clearest tell. You get an idea at the exact moment your dog barks. Your cat jumps just as the thought lands, and something shifts in both of you at the same time. That's not coincidence. That's synchronized awareness. So that's funny. When we talked about familiar, Annie was knocking at the door.
She was. She was.
Yeah. So not every pet is a familiar, and not every familiar is a pet. Familiars choose partnerships. They don't exist to comfort you or entertain you. They exist to work with you. That work can be protection, awareness, grounding, or holding energetic space. If it feels like teamwork instead of symbolism, you're in the right category. It's really cool. So then we have the guardian or the sentry, a protective force that watches over your physical space, your dreams, or your children. They are often felt as a presence rather than a scene. So the energy is nothing crosses this line. So how do you find your guardian animal? The corner of your eye presence. So guardians are rarely seen head on. You find them by noticing a shadow that moves across the hallway, a weight on the end of a bed, or the feeling that the space behind you is covered. If that feeling is calm instead of curious, you're likely in guardian territory. And then we have the boundary check. Think of a time you felt you had a bad vibe in a place and suddenly felt a surge of protective heat or a growl in your spirit. That wasn't anxiety. That was your sentry stepping forward. Guardians don't negotiate, they enforce. And then protective dream. So reoccurring dreams of animals standing at the edge of your home, blocking a path, or watching over your children while they're asleep are classic guardian signals. They don't interact, they don't explain, they stand watch. So guardians are not teachers. They are not guides. They don't want your attention or devotion. They are the muscle of your spiritual team. If you feel safer without knowing why, the sentry is already doing its job.
That's really cool. You know, I love doing these episodes because my dreams are always really quite elaborate after these episodes, you know, where you kind of go into a deep dive of like some of the things that you might see in your dreams and stuff like that. I'm interested to see what I'm going to dream tonight.
You better tell me about it.
Yes. So, you know, I'm going to tackle some specialized guides. So we have a directional or elemental animal. So this is like a compass. They're tied to direction, so north, south, east, and west, or the elements in general. They help you navigate specific seasons of life or cycles of growth. So this energy is usually around this, you know, this is a lesson of the season type of energy. Some of the ways that they can appear, you can feel pulled towards certain landscapes, climates, or environments. An animal might repeatedly show up when you're at a crossroads or navigating change. Their presence often aligns with the natural flow of seasons or elements, like seeing a hawk at the start of a new project or a salmon when change is inevitable. So the compass doesn't solve the problem. They point you in the right direction and trust you to walk the path.
I did a podcast companion meditation to find your animals in the north, south, east, west, above, below, and within.
Oh, very cool. Oh, that's exciting. And we're going to release those with this episode, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Then we have the dream animal. So this is going to be the navigator. They operate where logic can't reach, working on your subconscious and astral self to resolve deep-seated issues while you sleep. The energy is going to be meet me where logic can't interfere. So how they might appear is reoccurring dream animals that seem to give guidance, warnings, insight without speaking. They might also have animals in lucid dreams that lead you somewhere or show you how to handle a situation, or you can wake in a sense of clarity or a situation you couldn't have arrived at consciously. Dream animals are less about personality and more about internal navigation. They help you solve puzzles your conscious mind can't. And lastly, the mythic archetypal animal. So this is going to be the catalyst animal. So dragons, phoenixes, and other characters, they show up during massive, permanent soul transformations and ego deaths. So imagine this energy being more of a, you're changing permanently. How they might appear, you'll encounter them in a dream, vision, or meditative journeys. They may feel overwhelming, awe-inspiring, and even frightening at times. Their presence signals deep, lasting change like ego deaths, breakthroughs, or radical life course correction. Catalysts don't give instructions. They shake you, illuminate, and leave you functionally altered.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I had a few of those animals take me
Yes,
by the
me too.
hand, shake me up a little bit.
Yeah. So we have recognition animals. So those that signal a loved one's presence rather than providing spiritual instruction. You have your remembrance animal. That spirit code, the animal itself is a proxy wearing energy of a deceased loved one. They appear during milestones or grief to signal that the soul's presence is still active. Their energy is, I'm still here. You didn't imagine me.
I wonder if this is more of Jenna's cardinal for her, for Brad. We've talked about Brad.
Yeah,
You know,
I was just thinking the same thing. And then we have a messengers by association, the signature. This is an animal that bypasses its own guidebook symbolism to represent a specific person. If a hawk always reminds you of your father, it's a message from him, not a lesson on vision. So their energy is, this is me, not the animal. Then you have the visitation sign or the acknowledgement. These are precisely timed brief encounters that happen during anniversaries or conversations about the person. Their power lies in the when and not the what. Their energy is, I heard you. And then we have the memory anchor or the emotional imprint. So once an animal is linked to a loved one, it becomes a permanent trigger in your nervous system. Every future encounter reactivates that specific bond. And their energy is, this is how you'll recognize me. Wow.
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the grief companion or the regulator. These animals appear during the rawest stages of loss to provide grounding and calm. They don't want to be interpreted. They just want to sit with you. And their energy is, you're not alone in this moment. And then you have the transitional symbol or the milestone. They appear when your grief is evolving from sharp pain to integration. They signal that you are successfully learning in a new way to carry the relationship. And their energy is you're learning how to carry this now. So, how to recognize what kind of animal you're accounting? The totem animal is the blueprint. They are part of who you are, lifelong connection tied to your soul's ancestry or personality. Shows your natural traits or what you're meant to master. The energy is this is part of who I am. Now, the power animal or the battery gives you the boost when you need courage, strength, or boundaries, temporary summoned for a specific person. Energy is borrow my backbone. Now, the guide animal or the mentor teaches, instructs, or challenges you, works with you on growth or navigating a situation. The energy is I'm here to help you through this part. The familiar or the coworker is a partnership, often a physical animal, sometimes not. Works alongside you with shared intuition and presence. The energy is we work together. The guardian animal or the sentry protects your space, dreams, or loved ones, usually felt rather than seen. Energy is nothing crosses this line. And then you have your directional or elemental animals or the compass. Guides you through sessions, cycles, or elements. It shows the lessons of a particular time. And the energy here is this is the lesson of this season. Then you have the dream animal or the navigator. So operates in the subconscious or astral space while you are asleep. Resolves issues your logic can't reach. The energy here is meet me where the logic can't interfere. And the mythical archetypal animal or the catalyst appears during massive transformations or ego shifts, signals permanent change. Energy is you're changing permanently. And then the energy of all the recognition animals is I'm here. This is about the person, not the animal. So what are some of the animal traditions across cultures?
Well, we have several of them, so I'll go over them. So the first one we have is shamanic traditions. Many indigenous cultures view animals as spiritual guides, helpers, and messengers. The animal might appear in visions, dreams, journals, or journeys to teach lessons or often protection. So then you have the Celtic Druidic symbolism. Animals were connected to clans, seasons, or traits. Deer could represent gentleness, crows intelligence, and wolves loyalty or guidance. Then you have Native American traditions. The totem animal are often tied to family lines or individual life paths. Each tribe has unique interpretations, ceremonies, and songs honoring them. You have Eastern traditions. This is going to be like Chinese cultures. Animals represent yin yang, elements, and cycles of life. And we just went over all of that last month. So you have the tigers, the dragons. They carry specific spiritual and moral associations. Then you have folk belief or European traditions. So animals are omens or familiars. Cats, owls, foxes often show up in storytelling, magic, and folk wisdom with layering meanings. So I thought those were very interesting. The other thing, how to know an animal meaning for you. So one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to do observation. So notice repeated encounters, dreams, or moments when an animal shows up in your life. What feeling or message comes with it? So then you're going to pay attention to the physical reaction. What do you feel in your body when an animal is present in nature, in media, or in your imagination? So then you're going to go into the storytelling and mythology. So reading myths, folklore, cultural stories can spark insight, but you can mix it with your own reflection Does this resonate with me, or is it just a story? Another one is symbolic play. So draw an animal, make a small token, and imagine wearing it as a cloak, like a power animal, borrow its skin type exercise. That's, how does that interaction with it shift your energy? So then my favorite is actually our Woo Woo Seekers journals, the guide to getting clarity with your clairs. We don't have meditations for these. So basically, we give you prompts to kind of analyze and to kind of see what that means. But we're also going to be sharing every month the last episode in the messages in motion. And we have started adding animals to it. So you can listen to those and can play along with us.
I am so excited for that.
So now you have a couple books too, don't you?
Yeah, by Ted Andrews. It's called Animal Wise and Animal Speak, which are very good. He goes over each of the animals and he tells a little bit about how they live. And then he gives a certain meaning to them too. So very interesting book, both of them.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why I like my my animal spirit deck, is because a lot of the animals I know a little bit about, and I've learned just like I know their behaviors. And so those are my interpretations sometimes, is what the animal represents and for the person.
I love that you do that, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
So sometimes a bird is just a bird.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. And, if you see a squirrel in a park where 50 squirrels live, it's nature. If you see a squirrel in the middle of a high-rise office building or 3 people mention squirrels in an hour, that could be a sign. So there's the rule of 3. Use that. If it appears 3 times in different contexts, I would call it a message. What do you think?
I agree with you. Or like me seeing turkeys in the middle of a city.
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah, like seeing a pigeon in the middle of Manhattan. Yeah, that's not
a sign. That's
that's their home.
Yeah.
So let's do like a little quick check on the clairs. So for clairvoyance or clairseeing, seeing the animal in a dream or a flash of an image in your mind, clairsentience or clear feeling is feeling the weight of a guardian at the end of a bed. Claircognizance or clear knowing is that instant download of why that crow is there. And then you have clear audience or clear hearing, like hearing the animal's name in a song or a stranger in conversation. So these are some of the ways that an animal can show up in your clairs. So now that we've explored the many ways animal guides can show up in our lives as protectors, teachers, messengers, or even mirrors, we begin to see that these encounters are not random moments, but invitations to deepen our awareness of ourselves and the world around us. The power animals, the messengers in your dreams, and those repetitive encounters in your daily life aren't there to tell your fortune. They exist to reflect your true nature. They remind us of the courage we've forgotten, the rest we've been avoiding, or the instincts we've silenced in the noise of modern life. Your connection to these beings isn't something you have to hunt for or manufacture. It's something you allow. Now, it's your turn to walk through your world with a slightly different lens. Notice which animals have been trying to catch your eye. Pay attention to the coincidences that feel just a little too heavy with meaning. Don't worry about getting the right dictionary definition. Instead, ask yourself, how does this animal's energy feel in my body? What part of me is responding to its pressure? Working with spirit animals isn't about becoming something else. It's about remembering that you are already part of this vast and connected web of life. I truly love diving into these archetypes today. Becky, what are we doing next week?
Well, in our next episode, we'll be expanding the circle of support even further. We're moving from the archetypal energy of animals into the profound world of spirit guides. We'll be exploring the different types of guides that walk beside us, from ancestors and ascended masters to the personal guides who have been with us since our first breath. We'll dive into how to actually establish a dialogue with your team, how to distinguish their voices from your own internal dialogue, and why they respect free will above all else. This is where spirituality moves from looking for signs to building a living, breathing relationship with the unseen world. It's about learning that you never have to navigate the complexities of life entirely on your own. And here are the 2 words for this week from the Woo Woo Seeker's Journal, A Journey for Your Signs and Symbols, Book 1. Frustration and gratitude. See what rises. See what resonates. Go to @WooWooSeekers on YouTube to listen to the meditations for these words. You can find all the words and the link in our newsletter at comegetwoowoo.com. Thank you.
Thanks for getting woo-woo with us today. If something sparked a memory, a message, or just made you smile, share it with a fellow seeker, because the journey is always better when you can grow together. Be sure to find us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Woo Woo Seekers, so you can like, follow, and subscribe.
You can also follow us by visiting our website, comegetwoowoo.com. We are so much more than just another podcast. We're building a community of seekers just like us. We love hearing from you. If you've got signs, symbols, or stories that you want to share, email us at woowooseekers@gmail.com. Or any questions about today's episode, you can email us at comegetwoowoo@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and as always, come get woo-woo with us.